morning and welcome to the Expanded Woman Network podcast. I'm your host, Sherry Gideons, and this is my co-host, Misty Willis.
Hello, everybody. So today we'd like to welcome Dr. Novotny, and she's with the founder of the Pabr Institute, right?
Pabr,
P-A-B-R Institute. And she has a mission to provide pain, stress, and anxiety relief to those who seek naturalistic form of treatment when other treatment methods have fallen short. So welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to work with women entrepreneurs and people interested in health and wellness. We need this push right now, and so thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I live in Arizona. I have my doctorate in physical therapy, and I did that for about 5 years, just traditional physical therapy, before I started branching off and looking at different options and modalities and ways to help people. And I fell upon breathing and looking at how not just breathing in terms of kind of the breath work that's out there, but looking at it more from an anatomical and physiological point of view. And how do you really activate your diaphragm? Because we know that we can calm ourselves down by using our diaphragm more effectively than typical. And there's a nerve that goes through the diaphragm called your vagus nerve that helps calm us down. And so I looked at that initially, and I played with it on myself because I was running marathons, ultra marathons at that time. And then when I started playing with my own breathing, all of a sudden I started getting faster and pain went away. I didn't have the tightness after runs. Things just started shifting. And so I dived into that a little bit more and thought, okay, what's going on here? So I started looking at the ability to calm myself down and using breathing, doing that. But then, from my physical therapy background, I'm like, okay, body position matters so much. So what is it about body position that can affect us, whether we're hyped up or we're calm? And I realized that body position also impacts us just as much. And so then it was, okay, what if we put the two together? Your body position plus breathing. We know that your breathing is affected by your body position. We know that your nervous system is affected by both your breathing and body position. So why not combine all three of those topics together to come up with a method that helps people? And that's what I've done. And it helps people in all situations: chronic pain, getting out of various orthopedic surgeries, getting off medications, stress, anxiety, sleep deprivation. So that's kind of where I've gone with it all.
I love it, because I've had the experience firsthand of getting to do some of this breathing with you in other platforms. And so, plus having studied breathing myself, obviously through meditation, and having been involved in the health and wellness industry myself, one of the things that I have been so excited about and also so curious about is all the different types of breathing. And so let's start out with people who, just might be new to all of this. Just share a little bit with us about, where is the diaphragm located?
Sure. I'm going to scoot back a little bit. So the diaphragm is in your trunk. I'm going to adjust things a little bit. Let's go here. So the diaphragm is in like your lower trunk. It sits kind of in this area, and it's a dome shape. Let's see. You'll get back a black background. It's a dome shape on top of walls. Okay. So as the dome contracts down, that's when you inhale. And what happens is when the dome contracts down on the diaphragm's walls, it creates negative space for air to flow into. When you exhale, the dome goes back up in a relaxed, very dome-shaped position. And so that whole process of the dome dropping down, creating space, it creates like a vacuum for air to flow in. That helps stimulate your vagus nerve to calm you down. The problem is most people don't really use their diaphragm. And it's not just push your belly in and out. That's diaphragmatic breathing. It's not that at all. That may help you a little bit, but it's not true diaphragmatic breathing, because in order for the diaphragm to work effectively, the walls of the diaphragm need support on the outside of the walls in order for the dome to contract down. So if the walls of the diaphragm are floppy, the dome's not going to contract down that much. And so we have to then lift up our ribs to get air in. But if the walls of the diaphragm are supported, then the dome has something strong to contract against. It's like if you're trying to lift something up, like if I'm trying to lift something up with my arm and use my biceps, if my shoulder is not stable, I'm not going to be able to lift it up because I don't have a stabilizing part of my arm. If my shoulder is stable, then I'm going to be able to lift something up and use my biceps more effectively. Same thing with your diaphragm. In order for the diaphragm to drop down, the walls needed to be supported. Now, what supports it is your side abdominal muscles. So they provide, when they activate, they pull your lower ribs down. That supports your diaphragm. And then you want to keep them activated so when you inhale, there's a strong wall on all sides of your diaphragm for the diaphragm to, the dome part, to drop down for you to get air in. So if you think about it, you know, we're taught this whole perfect posture, chest out, shoulders back, all those great things. Well, guess what that does? It lifts your lower ribs up. So then it's harder for your side abs to work. So guess what you have to do when you're in that perfect posture that everyone thinks is so perfect? You have to lift up your ribs to get air in. The other thing that happens is because your ribs are lifted up, you have now taken a rib cage that was in a cylinder shape. You've now made it hinge off of your low back. And you start flattening your thoracic spine, which compresses on that fight or flight nervous system, which is going to ramp you up even more. Mm-hmm. So not only did you change your body position, which I mentioned was important, my body position now is one in fight or flight mode because now I'm activating back muscles that crunch on the fight or flight system. But now my breathing, because I wasn't using my side abs because I was putting myself in a perfect posture, which is fight or flight mode, now my breathing has changed one into fight or flight breathing. Because if my ribs are lifted up, I can't use my side abs to stabilize my diaphragm. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have to revert to lifting my ribs up more. And then we wonder why we have tight muscles in our upper traps, our neck, or shoulders, or back. That's why. Think about it. If you breathe 12 to 18 times a minute, which is still pretty fast, it's a lot of times a minute, a lot of times throughout your day that you're actually using muscles that were not designed for breathing. To breathe.
Interesting.
It's very stressful on our bodies. And so a lot of times when I'm teaching people how to change the way they do that, it's quite, they get into a very relaxed and almost they feel lethargic because they're not used to being in a relaxed mode. They're used to being in a fight or flight mode all the time, and that's how they exist. So.
Is that your phone again, Misty? Anyway, oh my God, that's so amazing. Because, you know, one of the things about this show that is, you know, really what we want to bring forward is these types of things. So many people are unconscious of just the basics of what you just described. And they're unconscious in that shallow breathing. And just like you were describing, you know, their conscious thought is to do just what you said, you know, pull the shoulders up and even myself, I didn't even realize that until you more just broke it down for us and described it. So give us, I mean, I love experiential. Can you just give us an experiential of what you just described to us so people can connect with that?
Yeah, so if you're sitting, this is a great time to do it. You can do it standing too. I'm going to describe it sitting. Okay. So I want you to sit in your best posture. Get on the edge of the chair, which we're all taught. Sit on the edge of your chair. Okay. Now I want you to suck up your gut, pull your shoulders back, stick out your chest, and see what you feel. Do you feel like I feel tightness go right away in my chest? Yes, I feel strain along my shoulders. Mm-hmm. I feel my back tighten up, my low back tighten up. I feel like my whole body tension just increased.
I felt my rump too.
Yep, you'll feel that. Guess what? You just put your body completely out of position. You just changed the orientation of your shoulders. You made your hamstrings feel tight. You made your neck feel tight, your back feel tight. You've added pressure to your low back vertebrae and your discs, all of that. All because we want to look good. And because we think this gives us good posture or good confidence, good self-esteem. But true good self-esteem comes from being calm and you radiate it. It's not from being in fight or flight mode and projecting something that you're truly not. Now, if you sit all the way back, now sit back in your chair, allow your low back to sit into the chair back without any lumbar support. Let your tailbone curl underneath you and allow your chest to drop down and your belly to come out. You will feel your body start to calm down. Now, some of you who are used to being in fight or flight mode, it takes a lot more than what I just did to calm you down. And that's where the breathing comes in. Because as we're doing the breathing, we go through the process of relaxing and feeling different aspects of your body change. Now, some people, I don't know if you guys can, if you could feel a little bit of a shift that you're not in such stress mode when you sit back.
Yes.
If you could feel your tailbone curl underneath you, feel your feet flat on the ground. Now, I know high heels look fabulous. They make your legs look great. I hate them unless, it's a short period of time, because right away they put you on your toes. They kick in your calf muscles. You tip your pelvis forward, arch your back, stick out your chest, put you in ultimate fight or flight mode. Now, for a short period of time, they're great. If you're going to a party, a wedding, or something like that, I love it when I hear that brides take off their high heels and go barefoot or put on tennis shoes, or the same thing with the guests, because they're allowed to just relax and enjoy themselves. They're really taking in the moment and just experiencing. There is time and a place. And the thing is also is just becoming aware of what the high heels do for you. Being aware that they put you in fight or flight mode. And there are times that we need to be in fight or flight mode. It's just, if you want to live a long, healthy, fulfilled life where you're not just in stress or anxiety mode all the time, we need to be in as much parasympathetic relaxation as possible. And then when we need to go into fight or flight mode, we can. If we need to flee something, fight something, freeze, or act at a high level, that's when we need to be able to do that. Often I'll work with athletes and they're like, I just can't get stronger. I can't get it. I'm like, you're at max. You're at fight or flight mode just by existing, breathing, and sleeping and eating. We need to calm you down so then your muscles know what a calm resting position is. So when you act, you have that strength, you have the endurance, and you can perform at a much higher level. And it goes for all aspects of life. I use athletics as an example because it's an easier example to see a transition. But there is so much we can learn about our bodies if we just get them to get into a relaxation, parasympathetic relaxation mode, because then we can start feel again. Like I hear a lot of people, especially high achieving people, they feel like they have this emptiness inside them. They can't feel, they don't feel emotions. They feel a stress or a tension in their chest. And it's because they've hit that sympathetic threshold. They're above it. They don't know what it feels like to come back down off of it. I see this very often. And a lot of times as we go through the process of breaking them apart, they might start to have emotions again. They might fall asleep. They might start burping and passing gas because their body is finally calming down. Their digestive system works differently. And so it's a matter of getting them out of that just constant on that our society has promoted for a long period of time.
Yes.
So
how do you go about getting this information out to people? Are you doing sessions with them? Are you doing like Zoom type sessions, or what are you doing? Just curious.
So I coach people one-on-one, and I coach them through Zoom, and we go through a whole transformation of their body. So I check on, the whole body, go through a whole medical history, go through how are they moving. I look at their house, their situation, if they're in their office. The one thing about the virtual environment is I can see where they spend their time and how they actually engage in their day and what they're doing. And then from there, we begin a treatment in that first visit. We start teaching them how to shift their breathing out of fight or flight mode into relaxation. And then for future visits, we start adding in different activities and exercises where if they have a restriction in their shoulder, we're going to be starting to do things not only for their shoulder, but their head, their body, even their legs. So depending on where their problem area is, I need to see what is going on with their full body even people who have stress and anxiety or difficulty focusing or digestive issues, I still give them stuff for their arms and legs, because what they're doing, how they reach during their day, how they walk during the day, that's influencing their stress levels. And so it's a matter of breaking down their whole body. Now, besides one-on-one coaching, I'm working on getting on a lot of different podcasts. So I've been on, I don't know, 15 to 20 podcasts this year already, just trying to share this information. I present to mastermind groups, just giving the basics, going through the science, because I gotta get this information out there. And working with different healthcare professionals, I collaborate with different psychologists, psychiatrists, naturopaths, dentists, people that are willing to look outside the box and realize that we can shift the way that people feel and how much control they have over it. And so they'll refer people to me, or I collaborate together, as well as I put together my own little Facebook Live Weekend Wellness podcast, just trying to bring information to people, just trying to get all of this information out there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that,
Awesome.
because that's the thing that's so important is, most of us have spent our lives in an unconscious state. And then when we start, I like to always say what you're seeking is always seeking you. Because as we begin to recognize within ourselves that we no longer want to feel like this, that we're going to experience, better vitality, better joy, better happiness, more of that what I like to call that love state. Then now we begin to attract some of these newer, these modalities actually that aren't new, that have been around and are coming more to the forefront. And people like you, I mean, even myself, having been in the health and, bodybuilding fitness industry, for over 30 years, some of the things you're bringing forward are so fascinating. So from a beginning standpoint, again, now we're conscious, okay? Now we're aware of some of the ways of breathing that you're bringing forward. How often should people be stopping and being conscious of that state of breathing throughout today?
So when I start with someone initially, I tell them, okay, we're going to introduce it slowly. Your nervous system, your sympathetic fight or flight nervous system is ramped up. It's all it knows. So we have to go a little bit at a time. So I talk to people and I say, when you wake up, maybe about 5 minutes, when you're laying in bed, practice this. Then before lunch, then before dinner, do it seated, both of those times, and then before bed. And after a few days of doing it, 4 to 5 times a day for about 5 minutes at a time, you can start to bump it up a little bit, and then maybe add in, a morning session, early morning session. The other thing that you can do is just working on your body position and how you sit. So how you sit in your car, get your low back to relax into the back of the chair. Let your tailbone curl underneath you a little bit. Let your belly hang out. Doing just little practices here and there. So that way your nervous system doesn't go into full rejection mode. Because I have to say, I have seen it where someone's like, oh my gosh, I am so excited to implement all of this. I'm going to do this just 24/7. And they have this huge pushback from their nervous system. And it's like, it's way too much. It has taken us a long time to get into fight or flight mode. Think about all the stressors we have in our life. Work, finances, if you have kids, you have parents, you have other relationships, we have driving stresses. Now we have COVID stresses. We have all these different stresses out there. They all layer up one on top of each other. And because when you get a stressor, your muscle tension increases. If you don't recognize it and you focus consciously on letting it go, your body accommodates to that new level of stressors. And your nervous system now learns, okay, our muscles are supposed to be on that much. Then you get another stressor, your tension increases more. Now your nervous system says, okay, that's our new baseline. And it just continues and it just continues. So part of this is we have to unravel you back down and help you sense things. And so I start with sensing right at the core, your sternum, your breastbone area. We work on sensing that first. Then we work on sensing your belly letting go. then maybe your armpits and your low back. So there's a process of teasing your body apart so that you can learn this in a successful way. If I go up to you and say, okay, we're going to learn how to relax your whole entire body. I want you to focus on 20 different things at once. You're not going to retain anything. It's not a successful way to learn. Exactly. Thank you.
That's stressful in itself. Like, I can't remember 20 body parts right now.
Exactly. So we have to take it step by step. And so people will feel really great when they first do this. I expect someone to feel a difference in the first session. Mm-hmm. Now it's a matter of them keeping it. There's sometimes a period where they go back because their nervous system only knows how to be one way. So sometimes it takes a couple sessions for them to retain and to extend that good feeling past a day or two. It depends. Every person's different. Sometimes I work with someone once and they're like, I'm feeling great. I never have to see you again. I'm like, okay, awesome. I'm here when you need it. So it really depends on the person and how chronic they are, how much stress plays an important role in their life. We all know some of us are more sensitive to stress than others. Some of us, have more going on, and everyone's different. So it's hard to predict how someone's going to respond and how quickly they're going to respond.
That's really exciting. That is really, just to know that you're, and you hear it with meditation, you hear it with all, like Reiki, all the different energy healing modalities, but also just knowing that if you're not in that space where you feel comfortable with the meditation or Reiki or whatever, that you can do these just breathing exercises or relaxing your body to get you into a lot more of an alignment or not a stressed out state. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like about this, it's different than meditation. So with meditation, you're trying to clear your mind and just try to go absent in your mind so that you can be present. Whereas this, I'm giving you something to focus on that gets you out of your mind and focusing on feeling your body, which a lot of people have said it's almost meditative in itself because you're clearing your mind of all the other worries and you're focusing on my words, which are directing you on your breastbone, on your ribs, on your armpit. And the more you practice, the more your brain can just shut off all the external and go to your body parts. And you're developing this connection with your body and helping you sense aspects of your body. It's very powerful. And when you're done, there are times people take naps for several hours. I've put people to sleep on the Zoom by just calming them down out of anxiety attacks. I had a lady the other day where she was having horrible pains in her feet, and we just worked on her sensing just this area right here in her body, and her foot pain went away and she could walk better. And so it's a matter of our bodies are all connected. What happens in your toes is affected by what happens in your jaw muscle. And the more we spend time realizing that all of those connections and that our mind controls a lot of how we feel, the quicker we can start getting people to change, because we have to develop that brain body sense connection again. It gives you your control back over how you feel in a big way. So.
Yeah, and it's like building the habits. I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, we've built that habit of brushing our teeth, and we know it's a good habit, and we know that it serves us well. And as we start to develop these sorts of habits around breathing that supports us, around breathing that serves us, it's kind of like that whole cell process, because we're the captains of our ship. And so we don't realize that our body is the servant, but up till this point, our body has been the master. And so now that we're taking that power back and we're learning these new awarenesses, then we begin to realize that that whole cellular structure can be supported and shifted, and that those cells can be renewed and regenerated and revived to be this ultimate support of the things that you're describing. And so as we're building this muscle, because it's a habit we're building and we're learning more about, what's the next step into that whole, I gather there's different types of breathing that bring on different strengths and supports in our body that obviously.
Yes, there is. And so the type that I've kind of developed and I teach people is I'm working on, let me give you an example. So let's say you have a spectrum between here's your ultimate relaxation, here's your fight or flight threshold. There are people out there like Wim Hof who take people and say, okay, I'm going to take you way above your sympathetic threshold by having you do this hyperventilation, put you in ice, cold, snow, and then make you hyperventilate so it raises up your threshold. So then when you're done, you drop down to here and you feel relaxed. I go in a different route. I say, okay, here's your threshold, here's your relaxation. I'm taking you from here. I want to give you the skills and control that you know how to bring yourself down to here. Not some external environment doing it to you and hyperventilating, but you learn how to change your breathing to bring you back down. Those are the skills that I work on giving you. There's other breathing. There's box breathing. That's a rhythmical breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, pause for 4 seconds. That works on just getting people to breathe and just getting them into a rhythm, because a lot of times when we're in a rhythm, that itself calms us down. If we have something that we can control, that calms us down. So there's a lot of where 781 or 888 breathing, there's a lot of different ones in it. The reason why they work, one, it just gets you breathing so you're not holding your breath, and it gets you breathing in your nose, which is also helps for filtering air, warming air, moisturizing air, helps with nitric oxide production, which stimulates vasodilation. So a lot of the breathings they all help. Now, the thing that's different with mine is I'm changing your body position too, to help you control and maximize your diaphragm. So there are differences in all these types of breathings, and some people will resonate with some more than others. I want to give you the skills that say, okay, you can just focus on your breathing if you want, but why not combine it with changing your body position so you enhance the way you breathe and combine the two together to calm yourself down. It takes a little bit of practice, and it's a little bit more involved than just sitting there and breathing to count of 4 different times. But the benefits are enormous. I mean, I've had a lady who had numbness and tingling down her arm. She was scheduled at Barrows Neurological Institute, one of the top neurological institutes in the country, for a huge major neck operation. They're going to slice her open, fuse her together, take out a disc, get rid of herniation. And I told her, I said, well, they sent her to me and said, just help her. She's 3 or 4 months away from surgery, and we can't get her in any sooner. And her goal was just to survive and reduce the pain as much as possible until they could get an opening for her sooner. And I said, well, what if one of your goals is not the surgery? She's like, that's not possible. I said, I bet it is. I said, why not give this a chance? She was an executive for a large TV network, on air at times, in fight or flight mode. Her body position was one that I was talking to you about, shoulders back, chest out, beautiful lady, beautiful, well put together, beautiful body, just like everything about her. And she's screaming, her body screaming on the inside saying, stop, please stop. And I said, I'm going to teach you stuff that goes against everything you've ever learned. It goes against everything from your industry. It goes everything against confidence, all that stuff. But I don't want you to have this surgery that's going to cut you up and change your body anatomy forever. You can't reverse it. But what if we give you the skills so that this doesn't have to happen? What if we give you the ability to control this? And once you realize that your symptoms were not just from that herniation, but from all of your muscles tightening on a body that was already out of position, what if that was the cause of your symptoms? And sure enough, we worked maybe one day a week or once every other week. Within a month, she canceled her surgery. And this was 3 years ago. So it holds. It's not just something that I'm giving you a Band-Aid and boom. Right. Now, I did see her periodically because guess what? Her nervous system's going to try to pull her back, but she canceled that surgery. She doesn't have issues. She was able to go back and work out again. Her arm, is back to functioning. She didn't have the excruciating pain. And her surgeons were like, what the world? But her body position was the basis. She was putting herself out of position. Then all the levels of stress, the muscles tightening up, pulling on the joints to keep them out of position. They locked out of position. She had just enough stressors that it pulled enough that she couldn't get back, and she couldn't relax the muscles to allow the joints to go back into neutral. As soon as we taught her that, everything relaxed. She regained space. The pinching on the nerve wasn't there anymore, and it freed her up. Done this with joint replacements, people bone on bone. A 7-year-old woman, psychologist, she's a professor. She's done all these things, private practice, bone on bone, getting injections, taking anti-inflammatories on a daily basis. She loved to travel and climb up and down zodiacs and mountains and stuff to photograph wildlife. She was like, I am scheduled for surgery. This was 4 years ago. She's like, I'm scheduled for surgery. And I saw her and I met her in March. Told her what I did. She's like, you want me to blow up into balloons and straws? I said, I'm telling you. And she's like, okay, I've seen everything. She was a psychiatric nurse before she became a psychologist and got her PhD. She's like, you know what? At this point, I will try it. So after some travels, she's like, I'll give you a chance. And so we went, we started working in June, and her surgery scheduled in August. I saw she was in like, okay, I have time now. We did three days a week the first week, and 2 days a week the next week. By the time the second week came around, after the first visit, she came in, she's like, how quickly is this supposed to work? I said, pretty quickly. Like, you should be feeling changes, immediately. And she's like, well, I do, but I don't know about this. By the second week, she's like, okay, fine, I'm canceling surgery. And she never did another injection. She was doing injections 3 times a year, which is your maximum allowed.
Wow.
She was doing anti-inflammatories. None since 2016. And she's doing great. She visited her dream of seeing Antarctica, Arctic Norway, climbing in and out of boats in her mid-70s. I'm like, this works for all ages. When I say that our stressors and how we hold our body, it is one of the biggest determinants on how we feel. And that's part of why I'm so passionate about sharing this, because I'm like, if we could get rid of cutting people open, popping pills, doing injections, all these things, you can do so much with your body and people feel so much better. And then they're better at whatever they love doing. If they love being an entrepreneur, they're better at doing that. If they love being a mom, they're better at doing that. If they love, who knows, being an athlete, I don't know. But if you can give people this skill and they don't have to have this external thing that's, trying to help them, why not teach them all these external skills that we've just forgotten? I mean, we really have just forgotten, because we're so pushed at succeeding and doing other things that we forget the most important thing was, okay, how do we feel? What's our relationship to our body? Mm-hmm. If we can get that back, and it doesn't take a long time. It doesn't take much of your day. It's just coming back for a few minutes throughout your day to be present. There are times that I get hyped up, and then I'm like, okay, yep, I felt my chest drop, felt my armpits relax, belly came out, my low back relaxed. Okay, I'm good. And once you develop the skill, you can like pull it off just like that. So, yeah.
Like riding a bike, right? No, it's a great skill. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I love that. You're changing people's lives, and you might put some surgeons out of business. So that's exciting.
My favorite surgeons out there, the best surgeons, don't like to cut. They like to wait until, and there are cases, obviously, that people have to be cut open, emergency situations, accidents, stuff like that. But the best surgeons out there want to find as many solutions as possible, and they're willing to work together with someone who's kind of alternative like me. So if I see a situation that needs an emergency surgery or needs something, I'm like, there's something growing inside you. Obviously, if it shouldn't be there, you need that surgery. So everyone has has a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. You know, it's so fascinating to me because I myself have had various surgeries. Let's see, probably 4.5 years ago myself, I had degenerative disc disease. And
Okay.
so and they said that it was related to all my years of pro bodybuilding and lifting so many heavy weights. And so I ended up having to have a lower fusion because in my case, the discs had basically turned to powder and they were gone. They were just plain gone. But the thing I realized too is obviously the root cause of so much of this, I like to call it dis-ease in the body, is so subjective related. It's so subconscious related. And so there's this underlining, as you've been talking about, stress and dis-ease and, self, confidence issues and self-worth issues that are all, playing such a huge role in the body. And if just that little openness of them, somebody like you that comes in from this conscious awareness state and knows how valuable this is. And so because we're so interconnected, we're so all connected to each other, just that small openness in that individual, here you come and you can help to bring that awareness to people and develop this way for them to tap into that part of themselves. And I just love that you're so passionate about what you do, because now you're bringing, whether they realize it or not, you're bringing a new belief system in them. You're shifting that belief system and you're elevating that energy, that power that is within them. And lo and behold, now they've got this whole new way to live life at a higher level: joy, happiness, peace, good and greater good. And I just absolutely freaking love what you've been sharing, girl.
Thank you. And it's hard. I have to say, belief systems are the hardest thing I fight against. Just the other day, I was doing a social distancing, physical distancing dinner with a couple friends of mine, and they were talking about knee pain and how their knees are bad. And so I have to be careful. I ease into it. I say, well, do you realize that the stresses of your life and how you hold your body and what you sense, do you sense your hamstrings? If you're standing up, can you feel your weight on your heels and feel your hamstrings kick in? Most people are, no. That means your body weight shifted forward, so it's going to affect the front of your knees more. And so I tried to explain that to my friend, and she's like, yeah, and she works in a hospital setting, but I could tell her belief system was so embedded in traditional, wear and tear. It's just wear and tear. My knees are going to be arthritic. That means pain. That means bad. It's just the way it is. I'm like, it's not. Arthritis means your cartilage is wearing down. Arthritis does not mean pain. And and part of the problem is I talk to so many people and they say, oh, I have pain, it's arthritis. My doctor said it's arthritis. And arthritis is just a term that we use to say, you know what, you have pain, it's arthritis. And I'm like, it's not. And it's hard for me to shift people's mindsets to realize, no, it's your body position in the nervous system that's holding you that way. And one of the stories I say to people is, if you think about just your body, you're made up, and I'm going to make it very simplistic. You have bones that give you structure. You have muscles that move that structure and to hold you in that place. And you have a nervous system that controls your muscles. When you have pain, that means tissues are butting up against each other. Something's hitting each other. Well, guess what? It's controlled, it's held that way by your muscles. Because nothing else is going to hold it that way. Your muscles are what's holding it there. Well, the thing that's telling the muscles to do that is your nervous system. So if you go to the nervous system, say, okay, I want you to change the way you operate, that's going to change the signal you give to the muscle. The muscle is going to change the way you hold yourself. That's why you can get people out of pain who are bone on bone. You just have to go back to the nervous system. Part of that nervous system requires your brain and your conscious change of your internal self. And so if you break it down that simply, your mind starts to shift. But it's hard to get people to go there and to really buy into it. A lot of times they need to say, like what you did, Sherry, they need to have an experiential experience. They need to experience it and feel it in order to start believing. And so that's why I do these presentations, and I'm like, okay, let's teach you a little bit. Let's give you some feeling of what it feels like. Then you can decide if you want to make that switch. Do you want to make a transformation? Do you look at your life right now and say, do I want it to continue the way it is? Or do I actually want to shift it and feel different, often better? So it's people's choices, but it's hard to shift people's minds. It really is. That's the hardest thing that I face. But once they jump on and they feel it, it's like, don't get in my way.
I love it. Misty?
It's just, it's fascinating to me because this is something that a couple years ago that I was, in those belief systems of I can't change what's going on in my body. But now that I'm taking some of those steps to figure it out and my mind has changed about it, there are things I can do and I can feel better. And because I was one of those people that's running around like chicken with their head cut off, constantly family, business, working, I had 2 jobs at one point, plus, trying to get my business going, plus, working with Sherry and working at home with my kids. And it was just like so much. But in my head, I was like, well, this is why, it's because I have thyroid disease. It's because of this. And I'm like, okay, well, my brain is kind of causing me to, and the actions that I'm taking are kind of causing me to deal with those situations. And I definitely feel a lot better internally. So, and more relaxed, which is one of the bigger things, more relaxed. But I'm interested in maybe doing something with you too, because even like posture, that part of things for me, I'm always like this. I'm always bent over, hunched over, and I know that's not good for me either. So I might have to have you work with me a little bit on that type of stuff.
Sounds good. I'd love to help you out. And it's good that you have shifted in your mindset and your journey has changed.
Definitely.
And
definitely.
We have to be ready for it. So if we think about all of our actions have led us up to what we feel and what we experience now, we just have to be ready to shift that. And sometimes it means meeting the right people to help us get there, getting exposed to the right person that you really resonate with, who can guide you into a new life. You're still owning it and you're doing it, but sometimes we need the helping hands. We need that person that says, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. But ultimately, it's really your decision and your willingness to take that journey. But we just have to surround ourselves with the right people that we can see guiding us to that new life that we want. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that we touch on, you've been mentioning throughout the entire interview about body positioning. We've focused on breathing, which, gosh, I'm so super happy about. Give us some different body positions that you would use with your clients and along with that beginning breathing that you've been talking about.
Yeah, so initially I teach everyone how to change their breathing seated. And I tell them, get your low back into a chair. Get it all the way into the chair back. If you have a really extreme arch in your low back, you may still need a little bit of that pillow or a towel. I tell people to use a towel because you want to try to decrease that support as your pelvis goes back into neutral. So you want your low back to relax back. You want your tailbone to curl underneath you a little bit so your heels are flat on the ground. Your knees, you want them at the height of your hips, if not higher. A lot of people sit where their knees are lower than their hips, and as soon as that does that, it tips their pelvis forward and it causes their low back to kick in and their chest pops out. That's going to put them in fight or flight mode. When you're sitting is a position of rest. it should not be a position of exercise for a full length of a day. There will be times where, yeah, I'll sit up to kind of wake me up and snap me up. Then I'm going back into calm myself back down to allow myself to focus on whatever my mind needs to produce or, conquer. Mm-hmm. So with that, that's kind of that's what I start with people. Then I'll have them lay on like a table, like the one I have behind me, or, their bed or floor or whatever. So working on positions for when they're lying down. So when they're lying down on their back, I have their knees bent, sometimes their feet on a little platform, but I have it so that their tailbone can curl underneath them and their back can relax into the ground. And then they're working again on the belly being relaxed, their chest getting down and in. Ideally, if they're going to go to sleep, I like to get them on their sides, having a pillow obviously under the head, but then one between the knees and ankles, and then one right at the chest with their arm wrapped around it. And so that helps them get into a fetal position. So as they're practicing the breathing, their body can let the low back relax so they can go back into that fetal position that is a natural position for people to sleep in. Then sometimes I have people on their hands and knees, and that's a good way for me to really change their breathing pattern and for them to actually feel it. So a lot of people will do that cat-camel stretch where they arch their back down and increase the arch. I take them out of that and I say, go into I guess it's the cat arching up, and stay there, and then enhance that even more as you exhale. And it's really hard on people because they're so used to going, and so I take them out of it and I say, breathe in now. And then when you blow out, you're going to go into an arch even more. And they start to feel their back expand. And it's a whole new feeling. And then when they get done, they're like, I can breathe so much easier. But so I change them out of that position. Then we can go into standing positions, standing and then movement positions. So there's a whole range of different positions that we work on to help people sense how much they overuse their back muscles, and then how to start sensing how to use their legs or arm muscles without the back compensating. And so once they start feeling these different positions and they use their breathing to change their nervous system, they start to own it.
Well, I picked up my legs because I always sit with my legs. Well, I'm really short, okay? So usually most chair height is very high for me, and I almost don't touch the ground. So like just sitting here, I raised my legs up because my lower back's been hurting. So I raised my legs up and I was like, oh my gosh, that took all that pressure pulling my legs going forward, like underneath I don't know, below my hips, I guess is what you're saying. Keep them in the same level or higher. So I raised them up and I was like, ooh, that felt so much better. So I need to put like something under my feet. Just like that.
Yes. If you could put like a couple textbooks, or people do reams of paper, put it under your feet so your knees get up, and then have something that your low back can relax against. It'll be a game changer for you. Huge.
That felt so much better. I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. So yeah, my little shorty self needs to. But I find that on every chair, my couch, my car seat, everything. So yeah, that'll make a huge difference, I think.
There have been times like I'll carry a backpack around and I have my purse in my backpack. I stick my backpack under my feet, and so then I can just step on my backpack and it's like it raises up my feet, and I'm like, okay, now I'm really comfortable. Now I can hang out here for a while. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Well, what I want to do is I want to do the experiential breathing exercise that you did with us at Kyle Wilson's event. I really love that. In fact, when you made me remember I commented on putting the belly button out like that, the stomach out like that I was not used to that.
Yeah. So yes, we could go through that real quick, and that way people have a little bit of an experience and give them a little bit of the beginning and how to change their breathing, because that's the best part. Experiencing is the best part. Okay, so we're going to get in that position that we just talked about. Get your low back all the way back to the chair. Let your tailbone curl underneath you, feet flat on the ground. We're going to have your belly out. We'll put one hand on your chest, the other hand on your belly button, right over your belly. And if you can, as much as you can right now, just let that belly go out. Okay. So we're going to go through 4 steps for the breathing. I'm going to start very easy. It's going to seem very simple, and then it gets more complicated. Okay, so just go with me and just go with it. The steps that we're going to do, we're going to breathe in through the nose, then we're going to pause a second, then blow out through the mouth, then pause and hold your breath 3 seconds. I'm going to have you watch me a second, and the reason I'm going to have you do that is because I want you to see what it looks like and ideally what we want to get you to do, and then I'll coach you guys through it. So I'm going to go through 3 breaths, and I want you to watch my chest, my shoulders, my belly, kind of just watch my body. So here we go. Okay, so as you could see when I inhaled, I didn't move my shoulders. I didn't use my shoulders to lift up. My ribs moved just very slightly, and that was just because when the lungs inflated, they moved the ribs a little bit. It wasn't me lifting up the ribs. When I exhaled, it was hard to see because of my dark shirt, but my belly came out. Okay, so now we're gonna go through that. I'm gonna coach you through that. After we get into a rhythm, I'll tell you some more things to do. So let's get going. Here we go. Gentle breath in your nose. Think just gently breathe in your nose. Pause and blow out through your mouth. Hold your breath. 2, 3, gentle breath in your nose. Thinking about the air going to your throat. Pause and blow out. Let your chest drop down. Hold. 2, 3. Gentle breath in your nose, thinking about the air going in passively, not so much of an effort. Pause and blow out. Let your chest drop down away from your hand as you exhale. Let your belly spill out into your other hand. Hold. 2, 3. Gentle breath in your nose to your throat, thinking about the air gently going in your nose to the back of your throat. Pause and blow out. Feel the sternum drop down and in. Feel the ribs drop down towards your hips as your belly spills out. Hold. 2, 3, and breathe in. Gentle breath in. Pause and blow out. Feel your collarbones melt away from your chin as you exhale. Feel your belly spill out during the exhalation as your ribs drop down. Hold. 2, 3, gentle breath in your nose to your throat, keeping your shoulders relaxed. Pause and blow out. Feel your sternum and breastbone sink away from your hand as they're melting. Your ribs deflate and your low back goes into the chair. Hold. 2, 3, gentle breath in your nose to your throat. Pause and blow out. Feel the chest drop down and in. Good. Feel the ribs drop down as your belly spills out. Hold. 2, 3. Gentle breath in your nose to your throat, keeping your shoulders down and relaxed. Pause and blow out. Feel your sternum melt away from your hand. Feel your armpits relax, allowing your ribs to drop down toward your hips and belly spill out. Hold. 2, 3. Gentle breath in your nose to your throat, keeping your neck relaxed as you inhale. Pause and blow out. Feel the sternum drop down and in. Feel your belly button pop out as your low back relaxes and ribs drop down. Hold. 2, 3. Gentle breath in your nose to your throat, keeping your shoulders down and relaxed. Pause and blow out. Feel the sternum drop down and in. Feel your ribs drop down as your low back and buttocks relax into the chair. Hold. 2, 3. Gentle breath in your nose to your throat. Pause and blow out. Feel your chest melt away from your shirt. As your ribs drop down, your belly comes out. Hold. 2, 3. Gentle breath in your nose to your throat. Let the gentle air go in. Pause and blow out. Feel the chest drop down and in. Feel the ribs drop down as your belly comes out and you settle further into your chair. Hold. 2, 3, and take a break. So were you guys able to feel the chest going in?
Yes.
Good. That's the hardest part, is feeling the chest going in and then just allowing air to flow in. One of the ways that you can tell is if these muscles are engaged right here. How engaged are they keeping you up? Is when, as you learn how to relax this down, you won't see them so engaged as much to lift up your ribs. And you'll start to feel how your chest drops down, your belly comes out as you exhale. It all allows your ribs to go from that hinged position back down into neutral, starts to help you develop sensing your side abdominal muscles, support your diaphragm. So the whole process kicks in.
Yeah, that felt really incredible, actually.
Good.
Oh, great.
Good. Wonderful.
So relaxed. Well, gosh, it's been absolutely amazing, Amy. So share with us how our listeners and audience can get a hold of you and how they can work with you.
Yeah, sure. So they can go to my website, paverinstitute.com, just to learn more. But if they want to get even more information, reaching out to me personally, and I can find out what your needs are. I can even jump on like a 15-minute free consult call with them through Zoom. I have breathing sessions in the evenings during the week that they can jump into that just go through the basics, and we just repeat the basics and focus on different things. But if they have more issues, please reach out to me. We can do one-on-one coaching. The best way to reach me is amy@paverinstitute.com. So that's AMY@paverinstitute.com. Just mention how they heard me at the Expanded Women Network, so that way I know kind of what I've gone over with them and what I offer them, because I really want to help people out, and as much as I can. I have different resources and different levels of packages and stuff that to help people out.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Sherry, tell everybody a little bit about what we have coming up that we're going to be releasing. I think they'd be excited.
Yes. So we at Expanded Woman Network, Business Network group, and we also have a Facebook page, Expanded Woman Business Network. We are releasing our new coaching program called Wired for Greatness. And each and every one of us is literally wired for greatness. Every one of us is worthy and deserving of the best that life has to offer. And so when you open yourself up to that, the experiences that begin to happen in your life, there will be a lot of times you'll ask that question, my gosh, what took me so long? And I know that we've all been faced with different experiences of frustration and negativity and adversity in our lives, but that does not have to determine where we're going. That does not have to determine who we are and what is available to our lives. And so the Wired for Greatness program is all about helping you literally step into that greater, grander expression of who you are. So you can find out more about that by going to our website, expandedwoman.com. You can join our group on Facebook, Expanded Woman Business Network Group. And we'd love to have each and every one of you. We're a group that is fully supportive of women and helping us move from the heart space, bringing the heart to the head instead of the head to the heart. And we are a group of we've moved out of that old mindset of competition, and we've moved into the mindset of coming together as one in the we mindset and helping each other rise up to a greater, grander expression of who we are. So we want to thank each and every one of you for being here with us today. And you can find us once again on expandedwoman.com. Until next Tuesday, please have an amazing week. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.